Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the TerraUltra G270. Now again, I know I'm a little late to the party on this one. I've had it for a little while. I've had some ups and downs with this shoe. At one point this was one of my favorite shoes, but I've encountered, I guess, some issues that we'll talk through in the video today. So before we get started, I would like to remind everybody that today we will be using my newer format for rating shoes, the 5-star method based on the 5 categories: upper fit, upper feel, midsole, outsole, and price. And once again, I would love to give a shout out to Grounds and Hounds and the work they're doing by providing some of their proceeds to animal shelters to help keep dogs alive and get them in good homes. And also, you might notice a little shout out to one of my favorite YouTube channels, Seth James Demore, right there. Now, let's get into the TerraUltra G270. This shoe came with lots of fanfare, and I've run in these now plenty of times. Probably 15 or 20 times I've had these things out now. Let's just go over some of the specs. In a size 9, these are 9.5 ounces. They are a zero drop shoe, so including the insole, these are 18mm stack height, front and back, and they have 4mm lugs based on their graphene grip. This is a shoe that, based on the stack height, will give you some good ground feel, but is also very forgiving. They use a PowerFlow Max midsole for energy return. And again, the thing that makes Inov8 so popular is their graphene grip outsole, graphene rubber, which they say is the toughest rubber and the most durable rubber in the world. So this shoe really was touted as a shoe for ultras, long distances, buffed out trails, even a shoe that you could use for a road to trail transition. Not really designed for technical trails. That was kind of the design of the shoe. Now I will tell you, going through this, Inov8 uses kind of like a scale. They don't really offer wides, but they do use a scale for their shoes 1 through 5, 5 being the most accommodating from a toe box and fit standpoint for wider feet, down to a 1, which is an extremely narrow shoe. So these are a 5. I will tell you that I struggle a little bit from a toes scrunching standpoint in this shoe. In the beginning, it wasn't as noticeable. I was also running with these in the summer. Again, that just shows you kind of how kind of far behind I am on doing my review on this shoe. But so in the summer, I do tend to wear a thinner sock, and it wasn't as noticeable in the thinner socks. But once I went to a regular, I don't wear thick socks. I get too hot, so even in the winter, I don't wear super thick socks. But even in a normal running sock, my toes scrunch up and I start to get some pain in my pinky toe. So I was a little frustrated with that because I was hoping for just a little bit more of an accommodating feel, almost kind of like an Ultra Lone Peak maybe. Maybe not quite as wide because they're really wide in the toe box, but somewhere closer to that. From an upper feel, these are pretty comfortable, right? So the little bit of flex in the heel counter there, but still gives you a nice lockdown feel. This does have, it's kind of weird. It's a gusseted tongue, but it's really gusseted. So this tongue's not going anywhere. So that part is nice. But it's a very thin tongue. There's no padding or protection in the tongue area on this. And the upper, listen, as always, if you know anything about Inov8, they build shoes that are built like tanks. So from a durability standpoint, the upper is going to last forever. Midsole, so I'm a little torn on the midsole, right? So the midsole, I think, is Actually really nice. I think for a shoe that only has an 18 millimeter stack height, these are more forgiving than most shoes with that kind of a stack height. I think if you put in another 4 or 5 millimeters in this, I think this shoe would be a phenomenal shoe. I think this shoe would then give you a little bit more cushion, because even though it's forgiving, once you get to miles in these things, you feel it. And again, it kind of makes me feel like these shoes were really designed for the pro ultra runners that are super light on their feet and bounce around, you know, like butterflies. And unfortunately, that's not me. And I would assume that some of my people out there watching are not that way. Some of you are. And again, not saying this shoe doesn't work, but for me, this is not a long distance running shoe. This is a couple miles, you know, at most for me. This is a 3 to 5 mile shoe. Beyond that, I really feel it, and I struggle with this shoe a little bit. Now, while on the midsole, let's talk a little bit about the zero drop. Now, I run in zero drop shoes, so I do run in ultras. I like the Lone Peak. I like the Ultra. Wow, their road running shoe. It's slipping my mind right now. But I got their version 4.0 plush in that shoe, the Torin. That's what it is. So I don't struggle with zero drop. It doesn't hurt my knees. It doesn't hurt my Achilles. But there is something about when I run in this shoe, I get a little bit of knee pain. I don't know what it is. Again, I can't think it's the zero drop, because I don't struggle with the zero drop running in other zero drop shoes. But I do get a little bit of knee pain in this shoe. Maybe it's just the lack of cushioning underfoot. I'm not sure. But just something to be noted. That's not going to happen to everybody, but just something to happen to me. Now, the part for me where this shoe falls a little flat is this touted graphene grip outsole rubber. Now, listen, I'll give them it's durable. This thing does not show anywhere. I mean, obviously it's dirty, but it does not show anywhere. But I do not think the grip in these shoes is anything to write home about. I think it's comparable if you've seen the other video I did today on the North Face Endurance, Vective Endurance. I think the outsole on that is every bit as good as the outsole on this from a grip standpoint. Now, maybe, I don't know, durability-wise, I think this looks like it's made out of, I don't know, tire rubber or something. I think this will last longer than the outsole, than the upper will on this shoe and the midsole. But grip-wise, I wasn't overall that impressed. And then this shoe comes in at $160. So, again, I think from a durability standpoint, you will get a super long life out of this shoe. If this shoe works for you, you'll be able to get 700-800 miles out of this shoe, I think. I think with the upper and the midsole and the outsole, I think this thing will last you forever. But I don't know that you get a lot of shoe. I don't know that you get a lot of shoe for the price. I have the Ultra 260, which is like their mud and obstacle racing shoe, and I think that one actually fits better, it grips better, and that thing is $30 cheaper than this. So again, a little bit different, you know, running design as far as the kind of trails it goes on, but it's more comfortable, and it's got a low stack height, and I don't struggle with any kind of pain or feeling under my foot. So I actually like the cushion in that one better than this one. So just to finish up with my ratings of this shoe, for the upper fit, again, it was a little bit more narrow than I thought it would be, so I gave it a 3 out of 5. And mostly I gave it a 3 out of 5 because even though it's a little narrow, the lockdown, the heel counter, everything still works really good and keeps you locked into the shoe. From an upper feel, despite how durable this is, and if you can get past the narrowness in your toes, this shoe is really comfortable to have on. It fits your foot nice, it fits like a glove. So I think from that perspective, it's awesome. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The midsole, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, because I'd like to see about 5 more millimeters of stack height in this shoe, and I think it would change the shoe entirely without changing the weight or the feel of the shoe a whole lot. I think it'd still be a nimble trail running shoe that you could go long miles in, but I think it would protect your feet better. Outsole, again, I gave it a 3 out of 5 because, again, I felt it was comparable to the North Face Vective Endurus. And to be consistent with my rating, I also gave this a 3 out of 5, just like I did the North Face. And then for price, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I'd like to see this shoe like $20 or $30 cheaper than what it is, unless you start adding in a little bit more stack height and make this thing a little bit better to go long miles in. So for a total, that's 16 out of 25. And when you divide that by 5 for our 5-star rating, that's 3.2 out of 5 stars. So a little lower than I would like to see. I think anything above 3 is a solid shoe. Anything above 3.5 I think is a really good shoe. So I think it falls a little short, but it's still a really solid shoe. Something I'll still run in for shorter distances, but we'll also take into consideration how my knee's feeling before I go running around in this shoe. So as always, thank you guys for joining. Thanks for watching along. If you've run in these shoes, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. If you share your opinions, share your thoughts, even if you disagree, I'd love to hear your perspective on the shoes. And thanks for joining the ride with the channel. So as always, stay healthy, find your happy, and seek to inspire. I'll talk to everybody soon. Have a great day.